An article related to global marketing research, and its name here is what Netflix needs to succeed in international market. So, first, let's take a look at Netflix background. Anyone can tell me what do you know about Netflix?
Daniel. It's a good and affordable way to have entertainment.
Yes. Anything else? Okay. Netflix is an American entertainment company. It specializes in streaming media and videos, online distributions, and television productions. It was founded in 1997 in California, and up to now it has more than 93 million subscribers over 190 countries. In 2015, it was able to provide 160 original series and reaching 100 million watching hours per day, and its company value were estimated at 60 billion. Because the US market is considered full, so Netflix is moving to international markets, and you can observe that the percentage of international subscribers is increasing continuously from 33 to 47 in 2016. And during its global expansion, Netflix had to face with fierce competition from other online streaming services like Amazon, Hulu, YouTube, and Youku. Also, video rental services like Blockbusters and other video store abroad. Also, cable and satellite TV service. Now let's come back to the article. This article is like what Netflix did in the step of problem formulations. It wants to expand its international market to reach 100 million subscribers by total in 2018 and 575 million international subscribers by 2020. And it also expects its international segment will be profitable in next year. However, it's facing some difficulty varying from more international segments and huge content and advertising costs. And next, Lauren will have a deeper look in these issues.
All right, so some of the challenges that Netflix faces when it's moving to new markets is trying to tailor their service to the needs of the local markets. So some of the things that Netflix has faced in the past is that it's a popular brand in the US, but if you leave and go out to foreign markets, like we just asked you today, what is Netflix? A lot of people are actually unfamiliar with the brand. And just in terms of brand recognition off the bat, that's been a problem for them. In addition, because Netflix is US-based, they also face problems with US copyright laws, which means that shows that they could broadcast in the US, they're unable to do so abroad. And the ways that they've been getting around this is by providing, like we said before, 126 of their own produced TV series. So they own the rights and licensing to all of those, and then they're able to provide that to other markets. But some of the things they have to try and consider is what are the needs of their customers in these local markets. And what this comes down to is the content they provide and how can they localize the content so that it's interesting for the viewers abroad. And some of the strategies that they use is to provide translation in the form of dubbing and subtitle services, as well as provide local programs to compete with TV series in those markets. So some of the things that they have to actually research before entering these markets is to see what programs are most popular in the markets that they're going to, and then whether or not it's financially feasible for them to buy the rights for these programs or produce a program in the native language of the company that they're going to enter. Because the licensing fees are expensive, but also production fees are expensive. So that's really why this is so crucial for them. Additionally, they have to try and gauge the cultural and societal differences between the US and markets abroad. So if you look, Netflix actually entered Taiwan I think, last year. And they've actually started to buy up local series, just as an example, in Taiwan, as well as provide translations of US series. And last is the issue of cost. So although Netflix is growing every year, they have to try and manage the increased cost of the ever-growing content stream that they have available to their customers. And that's why, up until this point, their international division's actually been losing money. But we'll go into that more in the next slides. So, additionally, Netflix also has to consider things in terms of physical limiting factors for their subscribers abroad. So this comes down to issues like internet penetration and local broadband speeds. So if you know in a relatively developed country like the US, broadband internet access is pretty widespread. But if you move into a new market such as India, where the internet penetration is relatively low, and most internet users utilize mobile, which have data caps and high overage fees, Netflix has to try and figure out a way that they can provide content to their customers without them incurring extra fees. So some of the things that they're looking at is how do mobile data caps affect their local customers, as well as internet speeds affecting video quality and thus the quality of the content that gets delivered. And then just as an example to tell you how intensive Netflix is just in North America, 37% of all internet traffic is because of Netflix. So that tells you video streaming is extremely data intensive, and it comes at a very high cost and a very high demand for the local networks. So the next slide is how Netflix creates value against their local competitors. So like we mentioned earlier, they do have competitors in the US, but additionally, they have international competitors. So just as for some examples, we have iFlix, PayTV, and Youku, which is actually the biggest one in China, which often offer cheaper services. And they also usually have localized and customized content. And as a result, Netflix in the Chinese market only sees a subscriber base of 1%. And therefore, because of their low subscription numbers, are actually operating at a loss in the short term. So some of the strategies that they're working with is to try and partner with local internet companies and offer bundling as well as free Netflix data. And this is just some of the strategies that they've looked into. So this is a chart of some of the past earnings data for the global and US markets. So if you look down, we start in 2014, and this is by quarter basis. You can actually see the US market in terms of profit is all positive, whereas in the international markets are still operating in the negative. But like we mentioned earlier, they're on track to be profitable in their international markets by 2018.
Okay, so also one issue is about the subscription fee. The Netflix offers same fee to every country. There's no fee difference between developed and developing country. For example, like they offer $8 per month in US. So for US, this $8 per month is relatively cheap for them. But on the other hand, they offer also $8 per month in India. Their annual income is $1,000, so it will be really hard to pay $8 per month to Netflix. So in order to get more subscribers internationally, they need to more research on those countries, like the economy, like how individuals' income is. So they need to like adjust their fee for them to get them more subscribers. The reason they need more subscribers, they need large enough local subscription base to justify the advertising and content localization costs, because they need to invest more on the local content. But if there is no enough subscription base, then there would be loss for the Netflix to invest in the local content. So they need to adjust the subscription fee in order to gain subscribers. So lowering cost means more subscribers, but lower price per customer. So these are those were all the challenges that Netflix is facing nowadays. So after reading this article, we ended up with some conclusion about what Netflix should do. So first of all, they need to invest in a local content licenses, because Netflix is really popular in US because they offer local content to the US customers. So they need to offer more local content to the international markets, and also they need to expand its existing content localization to international markets, because some of the content is not available outside of the US. So they need to expand its license. So also they can work with the local internet providers to increase the free data allowance, because in most of the developing country, internet penetration is not that high. So so they can also offer more options for data saving, because for example, they can download the video or content when they are on Wi-Fi, so they can watch it after when they're not using internet. So also they need to adjust subscription fee to match local buying power. So they need to do more research of their macro environment of that particular country. Also, they need to increase subscription pool to make up for initial losses and long-term revenue. So we also find this additional information about how Netflix is doing their customer research. So before, Netflix considered these broad categories like region, age, gender as a main thing, but nowadays they consider these broad categories not accurate way to profiling customer, because nowadays more people are getting globalized. So if they offer their content, when you go to the Netflix site, there's a recommendation based on this. If they base it on this region, country, age, and they offer the content, there will be relatively small content matched to the customer's taste. So why they ended up with this is because they find out that from the psychology and sociology, they find out that the variation within any population group is wider than the difference between any two groups. So the variation between the people in one group is much more wider than the difference between two groups of people. So, for example, 90% of anime is distributed outside of the Japan, even though its origin is from Japan. So, to target accurately, they need to get past the surface, these broad categories, to see what really makes them tick. So, for example, even though I'm using Taiwanese Netflix now, but when I go to my Netflix account, they don't offer me any Taiwanese movie or TV shows. They just offer me based on what I watched in the past. So, okay, these are. So we're gonna now.
So our first question for you is, what are some strategies that Netflix can do to try and increase their international market penetration based on the restraints that we discussed earlier?
Very old telenovelas, old soap operas available in Netflix. So even my grandma was asking me to play the old telenovela in the Netflix, and she could see a telenovela that was from the 1970s or 1980s, and I think that was very catchy. Even they were reaching another segment, that there was not a younger generation, that the grandma's asking the grandsons to play old content, that it must be cheaper in a way, and it's available and the whole region will accept it. I think that was a good approach.
So you recommend having more localized content and
right,
making
localized content that maybe could be classical or more old generations, so they can expand the market somehow.
So that get around the license.
Okay, let's do a presentation. So the next time will be live presentation. So I'm very nervous about this. Anyway, happy birthday to me. Take a rest afternoon and we have class in evening. And after that, enjoy my day. Okay, bye.
Bye.